Happy to have you all with us again. Ben Ingram here from the Atlanta Braves Radio Network, and I'm joined today by Travis Arnaud. Travis, thanks so much for the time today, man. How you doing today?
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm doing great. I got a couple errands done this morning, and it's just a nice Tuesday afternoon. It's Tuesday, right?
Today it is, yes.
Okay, good.
This past weekend was Mother's Day, and I was thinking to myself, for those of us who work in the game, players, broadcasters, umpires, we're not used to having the freedom to have Mother's Day. So I guess that's something we could take advantage of this year.
Oh yeah, definitely. We took advantage of it really well. We were able to see my mother-in-law and my mother as well. Obviously, my wife, we got to celebrate with her. Normally it's a day game, so it's like 8 o'clock and I'm already out of the house. But this morning, I got to make her a good cup of coffee and spend some quality time with her in the morning and celebrate her being a mother. It was a lot of fun, actually.
Very good. Well, it's definitely given us an opportunity to be around family and friends a little bit more. I know at the same time our minds are on being ready for being back. And for you, what has that been like, getting ready and keeping your body in shape?
I try to just keep my body in shape as best as I could. I learned from Jacob deGrom when I was with the Mets about how he took care of his body in an off season. He just never really stopped throwing. So I've been pretty religious with every other day throwing and swinging. I have a tee set up in my yard over there, and I just throw in front of my house with either my brother or one of my close friends that I grew up with.
I've spoken with position players. I've spoken with pitchers. I've spoken with relievers. And I guess a pitcher can find somebody to throw with, or a position player can go jump in the cage like you have been. But as far as simulating what you have behind the plate and that kind of work, do you have someone that throws to you? Do you put the gear on, and how does that all work?
For the most part, my friend that I play catch with every day, I just squat down at the end, and he was a pitcher back in the day, so I have him throw whatever nastiest pitches he's got, or towards the end too, he'll just underhand me some balls so I could do some transfer drills. But for the most part, it's been what I normally do every off season is pretty simple drills.
I feel like it's such a demanding position. I think most people would say that catching is the most demanding position in baseball. It seems like you guys have the best stories. I mean, it seems like you guys have the most wisdom when it comes to the game. And who are some of the guys that you've learned a lot about that position from? Because I'm sure that what you do every single day is really just a collection of so many bits of wisdom that you've gathered over the years.
Well, in high school, I was very, very lucky to have a coach who coached in college at Pepperdine and understood catching, and he taught me the basics really well. But once I got to pro ball, actually, Sal Fasano, who's with the Braves now, he was my manager for a year, and I was able to pick a catcher who was in the league for almost 15 years and pick his brain every day about game calling, what his thought process is out there. Just trying to pick his brain about every little thing, and it was really cool to be back with him, and I'm sure over the last that was 2011, so over the last years he's probably learned even more. So it'll be a lot of fun to be able to be next to him every day again, and whenever that is, to be able to just continue learning.
Has the position changed much over the last 10 years? Because I feel like we're using terms and phrases that maybe we weren't using 15 years ago with framing and stealing strikes and such. Catching during this era, has the position, has it changed much in terms of demand of how you go about the position?
Yeah, it does a little bit. Most of it's just a different terminology. Like it was receiving back then, now it's framing or stealing strikes. But it's pretty similar as far as the most important thing, which is you always want to make your pitcher feel good out there. Even if they're not doing too well, you gotta make them feel as good as they possibly can, so they're confident when they're trying to blow a ball past the guy or make a huge pitch to get the double play when we need it.
I feel like learning to communicate with different pitchers has got to be tough as well. Is that just something that your personality is good for?
Yeah. It's my dad and my mom are both very outgoing, and my dad, I feel like, can sell a red popsicle to someone in a white dress or a white shirt. So it's just communicating and just trying to make them feel as good as you can. And I've been playing since 2007, so I've seen quite a few different personalities on the mound. So it's just basically my experience is how I feel like I've learned all different personalities.
You definitely grew up in a baseball family. I mean, your brother played for the Braves for a little while. And growing up and you're in high school, I'm sure it was probably difficult with some decisions to make because you have the opportunity to go to college. Your brother's playing in college. You have pro teams who are thinking about drafting you. Can you take us back to that point in your life and how difficult it was trying to balance college versus going ahead and playing professionally?
Yeah. So we actually didn't go to the same high school either. So he was at Pepperdine. I was going to go to Pepperdine, and we were talking about it for 2 years at least. And at that time, he wanted me to go to college, but he obviously wanted me to go to pro ball because that's something he wanted too. And for me, it was too good of an opportunity to pass up. I got drafted by the Phillies, and I knew that Chooch was there. Ruiz was there, and I was able to pick his brain as much as I could. And for me, going to play pro ball was something that I've always wanted to do, and I just followed my dreams.
You mentioned not even going to the same high school, but I'd imagine that didn't even take – I doubt that took anything away from the sibling rivalry. I'm sure you guys have been rivaling in whatever sport you're playing your whole lives.
Oh, yeah. If anything, it made it worse because the one time we played against each other in high school, he was hitting, I was catching, and for some reason he got hit by the pitch. So him and my family, they always say I called a fastball inside on purpose, but
you had nothing to do with that. You swear?
Yeah, I swear.
That's great. So was it always catching for you? When did you first get behind the plate, and what made you fall in love with that position?
I first went behind the plate when I was 11. I'm sorry. We had a 12-year-old on our little league team that threw really hard, and my dad was the coach at the time and asked everyone if whoever wanted to catch, and I rose my hand, and that's how I started catching. And I continued to play middle infield, but just being in every play and it made it fun for me. I was always in the game, and it made it even more of a chess play than it already is. Trying to use the pitcher stuff to get guys out, and it's been fun, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else besides behind the plate now.
And plus, I mean, once you start getting opportunities from pro teams looking your way, colleges looking your way, I'd imagine if you can catch, I mean, there's a very high demand because it seems like there's a shortage of great catchers maybe compared to other positions. It's definitely a demanding position. Very
demanding. You gotta know the opposing team scouting report. On top of that, you got to study offensively, like what their hitters do. There's just so much more to study versus only thinking about offense or only thinking about pitching or defense. So it's definitely it's hard to find an elite catcher who can do both.
I feel like when it comes to evaluating that position, fans, broadcasters like myself, we think about what you just mentioned, behind the plate, getting your ABs in, things like that. But there's so much more to that position, knowing a scouting report, having your meetings with your pitcher that day. How did you learn to do all that? Because while you're learning to do things on the field, there's got to be a side, I'm sure, that you're still trying to understand how to go about handling a pitching staff and how to get a scouting report and know how to go through a lineup.
Well, like I said before, I worked with Sal Fasano way back when, so he actually introduced that pre-game meeting with the pitcher to have your game plan. So when you're out there, you've already talked about it, and if a situation comes up, you already know what to do. But he even broke it down, like drawing like red and blue squares on a whiteboard and like explain what this meant, explain what like slot pitching is, or explain how to read guys' swings or even read guys' takes. If something happened in the game and I missed it, like right away, he would say, okay, this is what I saw, this, that. And he was very, very knowledgeable, and he was very good at teaching that aspect of catching. And every day I learned something new. Every day I see something that I've never seen before. And I just always continue to try to keep that mindset of, I don't know everything, so I just got to keep learning all the time.
Seems like catchers make the best coaches, like you just mentioned, Sal, and managers furthermore. Once you get down the road and your playing days are behind you, so that's something that would interest you at all. Would you ever think about coaching or managing?
It would definitely be interesting. On days off I haven't played, I've gone to some of my favorite teammates and asked them if they'd want to be my bench coach or if they want to be my hitting coach if I ever managed one day. So I've already planted some seeds in their heads, and I would love to coach one day.
Well, you certainly have a lot of experience if you wanted to do that one day. I want to ask you one more thing regarding baseball. Then I kind of want to get off the beaten path a little bit. But
Okay.
when you're catching pitchers and those guys win individual awards, I know that it's all about winning, the team winning. But when a guy goes out there and wins a strikeout title or a Cy Young award or an ERA title, and you've worked with that guy that year, do you feel in a sense that you are right there along with him, almost like a co-award winner to be a part of what a guy experienced that season?
Truthfully, you can have a little pride. I mean, I know it is ultimately their decision though. All the fingers we put down is just a suggestion. So whatever award that they earn is all theirs. And that's how I've always felt, at least. And it's good to see, a guy you worked with succeed and you just feel happy for him.
Well, you definitely worked with some good ones, and I think they'd say they can't do their job if it's not for having a really good catcher like yourself. Shifting gears, over the last 2 months, you haven't had to be at a baseball stadium. You haven't had to worry about baseball or anything like that. What do you enjoy that you've got to do a lot more of? Maybe hobbies or things that you maybe have to put away this time of year that you've been able to enjoy a little bit more of?
Well, obviously family time is number one. I have a 1.5-year-old daughter who I've got to see grow a lot in the last 2 months. She's almost talking full sentences, and it blows my mind every time I see her do something new. It's just, I can't believe how smart she is and how fast she's growing. But also I got into carpentry. It helps me use my hands still. Baseball, you use your hands all the time. So I figured it'd be a fun thing to do, and I actually got into it, and it's been fun.
What have you made? Have you made anything that you're particularly proud of? You've done that?
My father-in-law is a magnificent carpenter. He did everything. I just put some screws in, but instead of, he could have did it quick and did it in half the time he did, but out of the kindness of his heart, he did it slow and walked me through everything and talked to me about his thought process and everything. And he's been a carpenter since he was 20, so 30 years. Before he was 20, so over 30 years. So for me to be by that, I almost felt like he was my mentor, and I was just trying to pick his brain about learning something new. And so that's something that's been very interesting to me.
I got to be honest, that's really impressive. For someone who just picked it up, I was expecting you to show me like bookends or something like that. The whole deck, that's outstanding.
Yeah, well, like I said, I only put in a couple screws. I didn't do much of it. It was all my father-in-law, but I was able to pick his brain. And my next project is trying to build some railings for that. So I'm just researching that online and trying to figure out how to do that.
That's very cool. Very impressive. Your brother was obviously a really good musician and still is. He would play post-game concerts when he was here with the Braves. How much music do you have in your life? Is it as much as your brother?
He definitely plays more music, but I'm a great shower singer, and I have a couple pianos at my house that I know some cover songs, and it's a cool way for me to, almost like meditate, I guess you can say. I only focus on playing the piano, and it's a lot of fun. That's what I like doing, is singing and playing the piano.
So are you as good of a piano player as he is a guitar player on equal playing fields?
I don't know. It's tough to compare. I only like really using it. Say I go out to a bar with some friends and they have a piano there, or we're traveling on the road and there's a piano at the hotel. I'll just, there's a piano here, and I'll just like bust out some songs and kind of surprise everyone. He's more outgoing with it. But he's very talented as well. So to compare us to, it'd be hard for me to compare us to.
Do you have a favorite musician or concert that you've been to that you really enjoy?
I went to my brother's thing in Atlanta a few years ago. That was fun, where he played before Lady Antebellum, but I've never been to one, but I've heard a Justin Timberlake concert. He plays like 5 to 10 different instruments, and he's such a great singer too. I really want to see one of his. My favorite concert I've been to probably was a Jason Aldean concert then, where they had Chris Young play before, and I was just so amazed at watching all these guys play their instruments, smiling, having such a good time. It looked like a lot of fun, almost like what we do when we play baseball.
Yeah, it seems like all the musicians want to be ball players, and all the ball players want to try be musicians for a little while, swap it up.
Oh, yeah.
as we finish things up, you mentioned your daughter, and I'd love for you to take us back behind the curtain behind that a little bit, and just to tell us how being a father, what kind of thrill that has been like for you, and how exciting it might be for her to grow up a little bit and see you play baseball and understand what's going on.
Since I was little, I've always wanted to be a dad. I've always wanted to be a father. Me and Chase actually always talking about raising our kids together at the same age. So to just be living through that right now, I almost have to slow everything down and really focus in on the moment because it goes so fast. And she's getting so smart. She's learning so much more every day, and it's going to be a lot of fun being able to talk to her and talk to her even more, I would say, and have her like respond back and it's been fun every day having this time off because now I get to wake her up every day. And sometimes put her to bed, sometimes watch movies with her and see her smile. Even if I lift her shirt up and tickle her stomach or tickle her neck just to see her smile. It's something I've always wanted, and it's cool to be able to live through that now.
Well, I know that's a tremendous blessing for you and your wife, and we hope that you guys are staying healthy and safe during this time, and really appreciate you taking the time to join us, man. Thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Can't wait to see all you guys soon.
Okay, thanks, Ben. I appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you too, and I hope it's sooner than later.